Hey team, this is Grant David Collins, and welcome to Basement Philanthropy, a place for people who do not want to wait until they're rich or retired to create meaning, impact, and connection with their money, regardless of the amount. On this episode, we're going to be introducing a new giving framework called the Philanthropic Method, so let's get started. When you think about large-scale philanthropies, it's really easy to understand why there is so much pressure for them to have their ducks in a row when it comes to the impact they are creating. They have large-scale donors that are involved. They have boards usually that are involved with the decision-making. And so because of this, the perception of the public and the people within the organization is that we need to be really professional about how we go about doing things. So that makes having frameworks and methodologies in place to make sure that they are really creating the impact that they are saying they are going to be creating really, really important. So when we think about ordinary people like you and I getting into the space, it's pretty easy to understand why there is a disconnect between macro philanthropies like the Red Cross or UNICEF and what I'm doing within my personal sphere of influence when it comes to the professionality that is expected and the methodology that we use to go about giving. I think that's the case for two distinct reasons. The first reason is because we're not technically professional. Most of the people that are involved in the micro-philanthropy space aren't involved in the macro-philanthropy space. So we haven't gone to college to get degrees in this. We don't work for high-scale organizations. And so because of that, there just isn't this pressure to be as professional or methodic about our approach to giving. I think the second reason is that the impact or the potential for bad that can occur within a person of just like ordinary everyday stature is viewed as being relatively low. Like if you can think of transporting a bottle of bleach, laundry bleach from the store to your home, like even though that can kill you, it isn't put under the same scrutiny as if I was transporting radioactive waste from a nuclear plant to, some storage facility. And so I think that that's sometimes the feelings that we have about ordinary givers is, there is some potential to do some harm, but on the scale of what we're talking about with macro philanthropy, like it just doesn't even compare. And so we're not going to put a lot of scrutiny or have a lot of discussion around it. But I actually don't agree with that thinking. And here is why. A couple weeks ago, I put out an episode on this podcast called The Ripple Effect of Giving. That is episode 26 if you're interested in listening to it. And on that episode, I said the following. So many times we want to get involved with these big, perfect projects. And what we're missing out on is this exponential ripple effect that can take place if you just get started and make a choice to do something good. And then from there, the ripple effect compounds and compounds, creating this exponential impact over time. So if you want to be involved in something impactful, go out today and make a decision to get involved with giving. So if our giving has the potential to create lifetime change or generational change in the world around us, if that ability to create good can have a huge impact across the line of people that we are thinking about impacting and those who we don't even know who are going to be impacted by that, the same thing is true of if things go wrong in that giving or in those intentions. And things go wrong all the time when it comes to philanthropy. It really is an ongoing learning experience, and it can continue to be that way if we don't look to have a more stable way of thinking through the logic and impact of what we are doing. Now, when it comes to frameworks, what's really important is that we don't complicate this space. There's enough of a barrier in place already for us to get involved with philanthropy and giving. We don't want to just make that even higher. So as I've done my research around this and I've started to develop these frameworks, I've noticed that there is a similar trend throughout a lot of the different high-level macro-philanthropy frameworks. And that is the concept of the scientific method. Now, some of you might be dusting out some of those cobwebs in your ears after hearing that. You probably haven't thought about this since, 8th grade science class unless you're involved with a scientific career. So just as a reminder of what the scientific method is the scientific method is a way of approaching the solving of problems. It's an iterative process that you use over and over again to continue to build a bank of knowledge around a certain topic. So this is used all the time in the scientific area. It's not usually used a lot when it comes to the philanthropic way of going about our day-to-day lives, especially when it comes to the micro-philanthropy space or the ordinary giving space. We usually go out and see a need and just think of the first thing that occurs and go and fill it and hope that things go well. And during that process, if something goes wrong, it's well, whatever, or at least we're doing some good. And it just doesn't have to be like that. And so as I've thought about, okay, how can we apply this to our everyday giving? I have broken this scientific method down into a simple 3-step process called the Philanthropic Method. The Philanthropic Method has 3 steps to it. The first step is to discover and understand a need or giving opportunity within your sphere of influence. The second step is to create an impactful solution or support an impactful solution with tangible, measurable results. The third step is to measure those results and to use that information that you collected to then iterate and start that cycle again, that method again. So in using this model, we can start to take everyday opportunities to help and support the people around us and put it in this framework and start to think a lot more critically about the way that we go about giving. Now, the beautiful thing about this framework is that it can bring organization to something that is rather chaotic. And it doesn't always have to be iterative. When you think about this, you might think, man, what if I'm just wanting to help my neighbor go and grab some groceries? I'm not going to do this framework over and over again. That's okay. But just understand that the opportunity to have depth in your giving, to have real impact, is brought about by using this method over and over and over again, because the more that you think about the need or the giving opportunity, the more you're going to understand about it. The more you create solutions and you're involved with solutions, the better you're going to be at actually creating impactful solutions. And the more information and data that you get, the better you're going to be in this space. So it has space for somebody that just wants to use it one time, and it has space for somebody that really wants to have deep impact in their community around them, because it allows somebody to work through that process over and over and over again, and their depth of impact just goes off the charts. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as somebody uses this method. So for the next couple weeks, we are going to be digging deeper into each one of these steps to better understand how you would go about doing this, how you would go about being involved with the philanthropic method in your everyday, ordinary micro-philanthropy and giving. And my experience is that as you come along this journey with me, you'll start to understand why you should do this and how easy it is to put a framework like this in place and the exponential growth of your impact if you do that. I can't wait to just explore this with you. I'm so excited about this for my own giving and for your giving. Well, team, that's it for me. Let's go out in the world and create good with the money in our pockets together. Talk soon.